So this is the next issue in the Ships of War collection. We have the French battleship Jean Bart, Richelieu class battleship, armed with 8 15-inch guns and a lot of 6-inch guns. I forgot how many. So anyway, let's take a look at the model first. So here are her primary guns at the bow, typical French ship design, as a majority of the ships that were designed had their guns at the bow, such as Richelieu and Dunkirk. Her secondaries are at the aft of the ship, as we can see here, and she has various AA gun mountings. But this was the completed version of her in 1955, as she wasn't completed until that year due to the fact that France was knocked out early in the war. So that's her. So let's go and have a look at the magazine. So anyway, next issue we've got the USS Alabama, the North Carolina class battleship. Correct me if I'm wrong. Here's a picture of her at the front, photograph. She was the last battleship ever built for the French Navy. And she was the second Richelieu class vessel. And she was built to combat the the Italian ships, the Roma and the Littorio class battleships, but obviously she wasn't aware of Bismarck at the time. And this is the man she was named after privateer of 17th century. And this talks about her designs and everything, and how the Washington Naval Treaty and all that. But obviously after that, she wasn't exactly finished, because, well, you know what happened with France and all, and Dunkirk, and so the French fleet sort of scattered and stuff. So here's a picture of her, very nice painting. But I'm not so sure on don't like the bridge, don't like her bridge. But yes, she was unfinished, and she fled to Casablanca in Morocco because France got invaded by Germany, and then they had this thing called Vichy France, and here are her designs, and she stayed there and was essentially a threat to the Allies, and she remained there for the majority of the war. So anyway, here's a fact file about her, about her primary armaments. Only her forward gun turret, located here, had guns put on. The rest of the ship didn't have any guns, and they only had a few 6-inch guns. She was very good when completed, but she was just underpowered. She wasn't exactly have all of her stuff put on her. Her armor wasn't that good. She was only 39.2% of her overall coverage was armor, so that's not very good. So she was very effective, but her armor let her down. But obviously these ships were designed to attack bow first, not stern, which is what every World of Warships player who plays a Dunkirk does, don't they? And it tells about only part of her was built. Only a few of her boilers and her props were put on her, and this is a completed variation. And then after that she came under attack in Casablanca when the joint forces of the Americans and the British just swarmed her, basically. And what happened was that they just basically swarmed her and beat her to, I don't know, into submission. But here we can see that they've only equipped her forward gun turret, and that they had no rangefinders, hardly, so they had to use islands to calculate the range. And they only had, the only rangefinders they did have was that of Dunkirk. It was taken off Dunkirk real quick, and they were not very effective. But obviously what happened was that Casablanca became under attack from the Americans and the British, and here she is opening fire on USS Wichita, Wichita. But yeah, and obviously she just kept on getting damaged more and more, and she sunk at her moorings, I believe. But obviously there she is damaged to her bow here. She was obviously damaged, and what happened was that she was immobilized effectively. Her gun did break down, and then it started up again, and the Americans yelled "play ball" as they attacked her. But that's what the Admiral did. And then eventually what happened was that the war did end, obviously, and then she was raised, and then she went over to America to be fitted out with her sister, Richelieu. And then after that, in 1950s, she became the flagship of France, and she was effectively just used after that. She did do some missions, but, you know, overall, in the end, she got scrapped in she was decommissioned in 1968 and scrapped in 1970. And that's her there. That's a photograph of her. So she's a nice ship. I'm just not so sure on that. I don't like her bridge, her main superstructure. So anyway, next issue, we've got the USS Alabama. I forgot what type. Are they North Carolina ships? I'm not sure. The South Dakota class ships. But anyway, USS Alabama. Interesting thing, she was actually used as the USS Indianapolis in the film with Nicolas Cage, which I've watched and was horribly a bad film. And actually, quite recently, another news, even though it happened like 2 days ago, they found the wreck of the USS Indianapolis, which is quite interesting. And I was quite, I read about that and etc, etc. And I can't wait to find out her wreck state. Her bow's probably detached from her main rest of her hull, I'm guessing. I don't know, I'm just guessing it. So anyway, that's been this issue of the Ships of War collection, yes. Obviously, I've had some problems uploading and stuff and yada yada yada, so it hasn't been exactly 100%. I've had problems with my channel, basically. I went to somewhere and then I was going to do something, but I sort of didn't do it, and then, and I've got so many videos that I need to do, but I can't do, and I've got a job. But anyway, if you noticed, what's this? The zoom feature. Yeah, I've got basically I've got a new camera now, so I can zoom into whatever I want. Really good. I mean, look at that detail. But yeah, she's a nice ship. Nice model. But anyway, and that's the end of that. So join me next week when I'll be doing the USS Alabama and talking about her. No, actually not next week. Very soon, because I've already got her. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, or whatever. Subscribe, even though you don't, so there's no point. So anyway, and I'll see you next time. Or peace out, my homies, as a lot of you would know.